Welcome to From the Sidelines, a production of the University of the Bahamas Athletics Department. I'm Chris Saunders with co-host Bacchus Rolle. Today we're talking to New Providence Basketball Association President James Price. We'll be talking about James Price, the New Providence Basketball Association, how they plan to get back to play. We'll also talk about how basketball will help develop our society and a whole lot more. So come back and watch us. You're watching From the Sidelines here from UB Athletics.
To be a Mingo, hard work, dedication, and commitment would have to be the watchwords for you. Over the past few seasons, hard work, dedication, and commitment have been the watchwords of our Mingo basketball. And it is truly through the years where we find the spirit to continue to go on.
Welcome back to From the Sidelines, a production of UB Athletics. We're here talking to James Price, New Providence Basketball Association President. James, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved. I know you've had a revolutionary career, not only as a coach, now as an administrator. Tell us how you got started in basketball.
Well, from way back in the early 70s, I used to be in the prairie playing basketball, and that was my love. Eventually, I went to softball. And after a time where I was working the tropical shipping, we decided to put a basketball team together. And I started to play, but I get hurt, so I say, let me coach, and I coached the team from there. And I got the passion back to say, hey, go into coaching.
Before Bacchus jumps in, I want to talk a little bit about how, because I don't want him to ask it, but I want to talk about how we got that revolutionary team with the Shockers when they split apart from another team and became a real staple in Night League and PBA here in Nassau.
It started where we were, inside a commercial league. And the hotel commercial league, we went, and tropical shipping was the team what we had. And after the commercial league, the hotel league really, hotel hospitality league that crumbled, we said, hey, we can go and we gonna join another league. So we decided that we was gonna go in the night league. And then I was not at tropical, but then I say I was with my own business. So we decided that, hey, we just gonna use the name Real Deal Shockers. That's how it came about. But the players we had then was some of the veterans from the Sharks, such as Bacchus Rolle, Sheen Taylor, and Van Hutchison. And we had some new fellas on the block like Kirk, Damien, unknown because they wasn't playing with nobody. Mm-hmm. But, they had basketball knowledge.
Yeah, Chris, I'll tell you, I played on that inaugural Shockers team. Interesting time, fun time. In fact, we played in the hospitality commercial league, and the players really gelled. It was like playing with guys that really understood the game, and a coach that just didn't think too much of himself and allowed players to play. Carl Grant actually invited me to the team. I invited Shane Taylor. And we already had point guard Kirk Neely, shooting guard Damien, and so I was like, we better talk to Van because Van was such a talent. I'd rather have him on the team with us than have to play against him. So I was like, Shane, we better let's talk to Van. We talked to Van, he was on board, and to be honest with you, we had a very successful run. I don't believe there is even now a mixture of veteran and new talent like that team. The guys really gave it their all, and we were playing for something new because a lot of guys thought we were over the hill. The younger guys, they thought that the team was over the hill, but we came together as a cohesive unit. And hats off to Mr. Price. But Mr. Price, I'll tell you this: I know that in the early days, getting the Shockers program off the ground, you named the team the Real Deal Shockers, and I am certain that came at a great expense to you as the sponsor. Talk a little bit about that and the sacrifice, that brought.
Well, when we started, I did recently opened my business and I take interest in it, so I start to sponsor the team. It was a expense, but it's something I could deal with. At that point in time, eventually, I went on and did that for 18 years.
And not only, of course, the burden of sponsorship. I specifically know you used to close the shop on practice nights, on game nights, a little earlier, so that you can go and pick up players on the white truck, the white big F-150 you had, that became really the team truck. And you went out and you picked players up to ensure that they got to the gym on time. Talk about just being a father figure, and especially younger guys' life in Division II players that you kept, and then you brought those Division II players up into Division I, and they matriculated through the system. And talk about the relationship that you still have with those players.
Well, I can tell you something. At that point in time, the young men I come in contact with was young men compared to this time. You could take them and you could mentor them because they was listening. Right now, you have the young man today, and you can't get them to listen. I come through with some of the young men, what they say in Mason's edition had the baddest attitude.
Mm-hmm.
But when they was playing for the Shockers, they was a different person because, you just let them know where you stand and what you expect out of them. And they respect that because of their love for basketball and the respect they give you. And when you get them to respect you and to do the things that you ask for, you know that you get a good product because it's worth you putting your money into a product where you could get the love and the respect out of it.
Now, Mr. Price, you've had success as a coach. I think you've won, we know at least three championships in Division I. I think you've won a couple in Division II. I think there was a stretch there. You had 3 in a row there in Division II as well. And you've made this transition now from coach to coach administrator. What caused you to say, you know what, I want to be an administrator of a league now. I want to take over the league. What caused that for you to say you want to make that leap?
Well, right when I made that decision, I really didn't make that decision right away. Some people ask me, and then where I see the league was falling in the hands of, I decided that, hey, I would offer myself to run the league because to know that you've been inside the league for so much years and to see it fall, I prefer to go as an administrator and, help with the league.
Now, the league in the last season, the 2019-2020 season, has been cut short. We had to stop because of COVID-19. I think, if I remember correctly, we've decided that we're not going to continue that season. That season is going to be an asterisk in our records. What are the plans now? I know that the BBF has put out some return to play protocols that are based on FIBA's return to play protocols. What are you waiting for as the league, the New Providence Basketball Association League president? What are you waiting for to get started on getting the league back for the 2020-2021 season?
We know the situation with the COVID. We don't want to put nobody at risk. Once the government protocol comes and say, well, it's back, you could have sports, we will finish the 2020-2019 season because players play to be crowned a champion. And it don't look good that a sponsor and he can't get his wagering for what he sponsor for. So I want everyone to know 2019-2020 season is not finished. Whenever we get to start back, we will start that series where it stopped and finish that year, and then we'll move on to the following year.
All right. So just to be clear, so you're going to finish 2019-2020. I think you had it was 2 rounds left because you had the you had one
Yeah,
semifinals at that point when you had to stop. So you're going to finish 2019, 2020 before you start 2020, 2021.
Yes,
Okay.
we would. Because it don't look right for you to take a sponsor money and he paid that money for that season and he don't get what is due to him for a season. So we already talk as an executive. We would finish that season and then we'll take maybe a week or two break and move on to 2020.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but where do you think that we may be getting back into basketball? Are you thinking it's going to be in that early in 2021, February, March, April, somewhere around there? Or do you think we're going to have to go deeper? And what are the plans if you've got to go deeper than that?
Well, like I say, Chris, well, if we got to start later in that, I'm looking open that we could start in January, But if this keep moving on, that means we can wait later than that. But at the end of the day, we would have a champion for 2019, 2020 season before we have a champion for that.
It's good to hear that. It's good to hear that that's a plan that's in play that you're going to do, because I mean I know that basketball means a lot to so many people, not just players, not just administrators, coaches, but I think it means a lot to people who watch it as well.
Of course, which really kind of bothers me, the long layoff. I mean, I know Mr. Price, on another occasion, you and I talked about the different protocols for requirements to get back to regular play. I know that the league had discussed purchasing sanitization products. The league had also talked about probably reducing the number of persons in the gym. So, are you guys considering any of those things? We're not in the bubble. We don't have the luxury of going into the bubble. But we got to do some things. We got to get back to play. I mean, I'm actually very bored at home now because I need to prepare for the next game as a coach.
Well, right now, everything I said to you has been purchased. We don't have all the sanitizer to sanitize the gym. We have sanitizers for players coming in the gym, everything. We have everything put in place. We will have social distancing and wearing masks as you enter the gym.
I just want to ask though, is there a consideration, and I know this is something that's been talked about not only in professional leagues but also some local leagues in the United States. Is there a provision? Do you have enough sustainability to continue 2019, 2020 and even go into the 2020, 2021 season without fans? Is that something that you've considered? And I know that must be difficult for you as an administrator and as a coach, financially as well.
Well, we consider it, right? And if you see the FIBA guideline, they did give you a guideline with limited, social distances and everything to put in place. The start, that's mandated by FIBA. We look at putting that in place, but if we can't get to put that in place, we have no choice, even if we just finished the 2019-2020 season and look for another plan for 2021.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. You're watching From the Sidelines, a production of UB Athletics. We're talking with James Price. We talked about New Providence Basketball Association as they get ready to return to play. When we come back, we take a look at how basketball helps to develop society. We get James Price's take on that as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the Sidelines, a production of University of the Bahamas Athletics Department. I'm Chris Saunders. We're here with James Price, coach, administrator of New Providence Basketball Association. Price, we know that basketball means a lot to a lot of people, coaches, players, administrators. I'm a referee. This is the longest I've not been on a court. Even when I was in school, I refereed basketball. This is something that a lot of us are missing. In your mind, what does basketball mean to society and to people?
Like Chris, basketball means a lot because the young people growing up, if you go around Nassau, you notice every court has a bunch of people on it playing. And it is something is lacking right now. Mentally, basketball can help plenty people, right? Because that when they have that state of mind where they ain't got nothing to do, they do mischief. And when they play the basketball, they might be angry with one another, but they love the game so they can play with one another. Now they don't have it, so that means they can end up in other ways, doing other mischief. If you notice good, since they closed down the basketball courts, you see a bunch of little gangs running around New Providence. And whenever basketball open up, these little fellas, then it'll be to a point whereby they can't get back into basketball because of these little gangs. They lead themselves away from basketball where they can get a better way of life. If you're doing something you love, it make you look like, hey, I'm doing something positive. When you are not doing something you love, you just sit there and you end up in wherever you end up.
Price, we haven't had basketball played in any formal format for at least 8 months. The last time we played was early March with Night League, Women's League, even high school. The high school nationals didn't get to take off. What do you think that impact is going to have on our basketball product as a nation for not having basketball for at least 8 months? It probably could go to a full year if things aren't cleared up. What do you think that impact is going to have on our basketball product?
It can have a big impact because you know that basketball keep 80% of the young people in physical shape. Because sometimes you go into basketball court, they there for 3 hours, 4 hours, just running up and down. But now they get to this thing where they sit down home, they can't go into basketball court. We know that it lies then in obesity, because you know that when you sit down, you just eating. You ain't waking it off. And then it can hurt you more and it can help you. And that's why at the risk, we could say we want the risk of having basketball, but we gotta look out for the mental health of everybody. I don't want my child go there and say he playing basketball. When he come home, he bring the corona home. It put me at risk. So right now, we just got to take the good with the bad. But we thank God that God guide us and keep us through this time.
Yeah. You talk about the health of the players, and I just want to go right back quickly to mentorship and kind of discipline. I remember when we played in the early days, Bryce, and you didn't allow the Division One and Division Two teams to practice separately. You brought those practices together and kind of always told us, kind of steered us in the direction like, play your hardest against these guys. Watch what you say, watch what you do, because they're watching. But it didn't dawn on me until later on, or years later, you allowed, or you created a situation where the Division One team mentored the Division Two team. I mean, and we didn't even know we was doing it. Talk about how how important was that for the discipline and the civic mindedness of the guys in the program.
Okay, if you notice good Bacchus from back in the days, right? We had some young fellas from Mason's Edition. But when I get them together and we on the park, and they say, boy, you will have so much a problem because of this one and that one. And they came along, and when they see the leadership of the Division One team, because if you notice good, Division One used to have 10, 11 players to practice. And all of a sudden, you know what Division Two tell me? They can have everybody out every night. And you notice good, Division One get 10 and 11. and Division Two get 12 every night. And if I come and I say we got practice 4 days a week, I get 12 Division Two players because they realized that hard work was paying off because of what they see with the senior team. And after the first year, really, if you notice good, after the first year, the senior team win the championship. The Division Two team was all up, they won't win the championship. The second year they was in the championship. They got beat, but they come back after that and win 3 straight years. So what they see from the senior players is what was mentoring they had as a, hey, this is a learning experience. If they could do that and win, we could do that and win.
So that's an excellent price. I mean, so that speaks volumes to the value of the club program, the junior league, the Division Two, the Division One, and it really start to make sense as to why you guys have always insisted that teams don't be teams in isolation, but clubs.
Yes, we have to get back to that system. Right now, hurting the standard of basketball in the country is our mini, super mini, and junior was thrown out the door by some other executive, but they had no interest. But we gotta realize something. You can't build a foundation without a start. And the start is that mini, super mini, and junior. When you get them and you put them in a club system, they realize a little bit of loyalty. If they just jumping around, they don't have no loyalty. So the club system was giving loyalty to players and giving them something to work with. Right now, we don't have a club system fully in place. And one of the things I would like to see after this first 4 years, although we have a challenge, that we bring back the mini and super mini program is something we need because we need a foundation in this country.
I am definitely a product of mini, super mini, and junior league basketball. It was one of the things that I look forward to in the summertime, especially for camaraderie and in just meeting new and younger players. But just wanted to shift gears just a bit, Chris, if you don't mind. I want to go back to administration. Are you satisfied with the administration over the past year?
For this season,
And it just jump right off of that. I want to ask: Is there any way for us to get more games? Right now, it seems as though we're playing in the league that only allowing us maybe 12, maybe 13 games in a regular season. That's not really enough games for development. And so my question would be, what can we do differently to get more games?
okay, if you notice good, back in the days, teams would play in night league. Some of them played in park league and other leagues, right? Would give them more camaraderie, more games where they could see what they look like, right? But right now, it get to the point where you can't go to another park league. So we got to look at some other ways to open up a couple other leagues in order to keep the fundamental of basketball continuously. Right now, with New Providence basketball, it is a challenge because each game is at an expense.
Oh,
And where that expense is, as I become administrator, I was so surprised to know that what it costs to
each game.
put each game on. And if that come to the expense to put more games on, it would be steep. So right now, what I say, we don't have no problem and no other person having their league going on. So that give basketball more time to play. Only problem we have is we don't want to combine the two leagues playing the same time. It gives players time to play in our league and they can go and join another league and play as they move on. and to keep the camaraderie together and keep the skill level moving on.
But would that also mean that you would have to have a full club system in place so that Chris's Cheetah's team plays as a NPBA team, and then in this other league that we talk about, I don't know what it would be. And would that league even be sanctioned by the New Providence Basketball Association, or would you ask them to get a federation type of sanction to play?
Well, in New Providence, you know, any basketball played must go through New Providence Basketball Association for sanctioning. But right now, I don't see us trying to stop no league from going on. Once it's not competing with us at the same time, we take that on, because at this level, the more basketball play, the better it is for the country. Because the young fellas today, notice good, who does the crime? The young basketball players. And if you have them playing basketball, they have more time to play basketball, less time to do other things.
So Price, kind of give me an idea, because I don't know. When you talk about the cost of a game, per game, we talk about, is that a payment to officials, payment to statisticians? Help us understand what we're talking about here.
Right now, Bacchus, each game that we play inside, it costs us for administration, the referees, the table, is $165
Per game.
per game.
Yeah.
So you can imagine at playing 224 games at $165, it is very expensive.
So either we increasing the entrance fee, or we're gonna have to find more teams.
Well, no, not even if you increase more teams, that's more
Right.
games.
Yeah.
that's more games, so that's more
What we look at
$165 that you gotta do.
We can't increase the entrance fee right now in the economic time.
Yes.
We ain't gonna have the sponsors to be able to deal with the economic.
And to be open and honest, this is one of the reasons I stopped playing. One of the reasons I stopped playing wasn't because I lost interest in playing, but was because I found out, I didn't know this, Chris, that referees were being paid. And I wasn't being paid as a player. And I figured I was training, I was going out, working on our game, trying to be a better player, bring a better product, and I wasn't receiving any of the benefits. So for me, Mr. Price, question for you. As we look at the future of our league, in a post-corona environment where everybody's playing again, have there been any consideration to talk about stipend for players?
That's something we'll need corporate sponsors for, because that will be very high, right? That's why I can tell you, like you said back in the past, the way I treat my players was just like you have to treat anybody. If they're getting paid or not getting paid, they was treated in the right way, so they appreciate it.
Yes.
You know, sometimes the way they get treated is more than them getting paid, because of they appreciate what they need and what done for them during these economic times.
But then also you talk about that when you talk about stipend, you talk about paying players. That can only probably happen at a Division I level, because at a Division II level, junior level, you may also have to consider NCAA, NAIA concerns.
Of course, definitely.
I know that we at one point had a semi-pro league that was going on, and that really didn't. It didn't quite grab everybody's attention. I mean, the idea was sound, but it never quite took off. What would make it different if the New Providence Basketball Association changed to essentially a semi-pro league where you did give players at the Division I level some sort of stipend or some sort of, I don't want to say kickback to make it sound nefarious, but some sort of give back to a player, either if they win or what's not? What would make it different than that pro league, that semi-pro league that we had?
The semi-pro league, as if you remember good, I was one of the team with Polo New Providence Basketball Association to go with that league. It was a good concept. You know, it was something you had to wait for, right, as a team. But so happened that crumbled. It didn't make it happen. But if we could get corporate sponsors to put up a stipend whereby a team, okay, let's say if you win, you get $10,000 for your winning for that season.
And
that's
you could
split among the team.
share it up however you want that.
And we could then look at that and say, hey, this is the way moving forward for the Division 1.
Makes sense, I like
We
it.
can't do it for Division 2 because of the NCAA and stuff protocols.
What it does is it makes the Division 2 player, it gives him a goal. So now he's working on his game. Because I got to go to Division 1, and if Mr. Price them don't want me to play on his Division 1 team, well, I go in another Division 1 team. But I go in after the prize.
As we wrap up, I just want to bring something to focus a little bit here. One thing that you keep mentioning is that sponsorship. And we've talked about how basketball impacts society in terms of helping young men to have an outlet, to have some sort of structure. So there's a societal benefit of having basketball being played. If we have that corporate sponsorship, that's not only a sponsorship of a league, that seems to be something that's going to help society build itself. And I think that that's something that you're trying to hammer home.
Oh, that, if funny, but Chris, because let me tell you something. I invested my money in basketball, but at the end of the day, when I look down the road, to see the players would come up through the Shockers and where they are, I could say, hey, my money was well spent. And I would take out there to any sponsor, any good corporate sponsor, if you see that your money can be spent well, it's best to invest it in the youths in this country because the youth is the future. And your money will be well represented.
All right. Last question, Price. I know we running late on time here. You've been an administrator for quite some time, and you've worked tirelessly in this league for many years. And each administrator, I guess, would have advanced the game or the league or not. My question is, what will be the James Price legacy? How do you want the basketball fraternity to remember James Price?
Like I said earlier, first thing, I would like to bring back the super mini. But at the end of the day, the road I would like to leave is something Mr. Vince Ferguson started many years ago.
Wow.
When I leave, I would like somebody to say, well, Price build that gym or get that gym going.
Okay.
Start it. Because for the basketball to be in over 50 years and don't have a home, that's one of the things we have to really look at because it hurt the game more than helped the game without the facilities.
All right. James Price, I think that you've taken over the league at one of the most tumultuous times, having to deal with COVID-19 along with so many other economic problems that are going on, not only in the Bahamas but worldwide, but definitely COVID-19 has put a damper on it. And just the fact that you're able to steer the ship through this, I think that's going to be a big part of your legacy as a New Providence Basketball Association president, getting us through this pandemic and getting us to return to play eventually. I think that's going to be a mammoth task, and I think you're up to it, so good luck with that. When we come back from the sidelines, Coach Bacchus Rolle takes us through a drill that's going to help you on the court.
Welcome to Chalk Talk, coaches. As we all know, most of basketball nowadays is not set plays, but more geared towards offenses that are non-scripted, that are conceptual in nature. However, there are times in the game when we need to have set plays. One of those times definitely would be on inbounds plays. So when I want to look at an inbound play that we can learn a lot from. So my normal setup is a box setup where we have two bigs on the box, two smalls on the elbow, of course the inbounder. So most of what coaches would do in an inbound situation depends on the situation of the game. Situational basketball is key to coaching nowadays. And so ideally, if this is a situation where we need a three-point shot, this is a great play. Okay, I like to call it play twins. So we have twins on the blocks, twins on the elbow. We begin to play on the slap of the ball. At the slap of the ball, we clear the backside. So we clear the backside with the smalls or the guards
they go free throw line extended. Simultaneously, the point guard or whoever's inbounding the basketball will throw the basketball to the strong side forward over his head. He catches the basketball somewhere around the free throw line. Strong side forward then looks to see if the weak side forward is in place, who automatically on the catch, he leaves the box and head up to the elbow. This pass is the misdirection pass. The basketball goes to the other side of the floor. It sends everybody's eyes to the other side. Their attention goes to the other side of the floor. After the misdirection pass is made, strong side forward goes down and sets a pick on the individual that was guarding the point guard. In this instance, this is a wonderful, perfect pick because he picks not only the guy that's playing the point guard, but he holds up his defender as well. Shaky is wide open from the pass from the weak side at the top of the key. Execution at its finest. He hits the three-pointer. Shot is good. Game over.
That's it for Chalk Talk. Play with it. There are a lot of options you can run out of this play. You can talk about it some more. You can always contact me at bojrolle@gmail.com. We could share ideas with regards to coaching. Thank you.
As we wrap up here from the sidelines with MPBA President James Price, Bacchus, any final thoughts?
Yes, Chris, definitely. I would like to associate myself with the comments of Mr. Price in that, we have to move to another level locally. The league has to be played in its home base. It can no longer be AF Adley. Early years of the league is played in AF Adley. Gordon Slanks Musgrove, Decree Johnson, they played basketball in AF Adley. Shane Taylor, Bacchus Rolle, Carl Grant, Manny Adley, we played in AF Adley. Kimsey Sylvester, Justin Smith, Ramon Dames, they played in AF Adley. We have to move on. It would be a great asset to the community, to our society, if we're able to see the building of a new gymnasium that the New Providence Basketball Association can call its home.
All right, I think that's a great idea. Mr. Price, any final thoughts?
Well, I just would like to say thanks for having me. I hope this make your show be recognized because you get a great person on the line.
All right, Mr. Price, thank you very much. Spoken just like a true Price on the sidelines. Like you said, from the sidelines, I think that's a great idea that the MPBA needs its home. I think basketball needs its home in New Providence, and I think that would be something that would definitely help to develop society. And I think that's really what the end goal of sports is, to develop society and develop citizens of the Bahamas as well. All right, Mr. Price, thanks a lot. But before you go, we've got some gifts for you. We've got your Sunday morning mug that you can remember the Mingos by, your Sunday afternoon tumbler. You could put whatever you want in it, and then definitely, as you moved on from coaching, we've got a shirt for you that you could support the Mingos as New Providence Basketball Association president. So we hope that you get full use out of that as a remembrance of being the special person on our show. Thank you so much, Mr. Price. All right, as we wrap up again, I think that those are some great ideas that New Providence Basketball Association and basketball specifically needs its home. I think that we as a society need to use sports to help develop society and develop our citizenry. Both young men talked about how we need to develop young men in society, and I think basketball is one of those things. And I think it'll help society generally as well for both men and women who play the sport. So hopefully those are some goals that come to fruition real soon. That'll do it for us, though, from the sidelines. On behalf of the entire technical team and co-host Bacchus Rolle, I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for watching.